This is Off the Break Podcast, presented by Silver Screen Insider.
Welcome back to Off the Break Podcast. I'm Cody, and with me are Kyle and Ken.
Hello.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Oh, another week.
Just the 2020 keeps taking a turn. I don't know where we're headed.
It's a U-turn and then another U-turn and then a final U-turn.
I feel like we cleared a clearing and now there's like an evil witch's house and we're like, let's go in there and deal with that now.
Yeah, I mean, echoing your guys' thoughts, I was just hoping for one good week in this industry, and then it decided to not be a good week, took a couple of steps back, hit you over the head with a baseball bat. You know, it's all great stuff.
It's like threw you in a trunk of a car, taking you to an undisclosed location.
Business as usual at this point, sadly.
So I was kind of excited at the beginning of this week because we found out that Tenet and Unhinged were finally placed back on the release schedule. So
back on the schedule.
We're back on the schedule, baby. Tenet is going international on August 21st and in the U.S. market on September 3rd, which is right before Labor Day weekend.
As of now.
As of right now.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
Maybe this is the one.
Listen to this as soon as we release it. Don't listen to it later.
Yeah.
Because that may change.
That may change. So that was promising, and we are, getting Solstice Studios our Unhinged date. So I was feeling really good about that, and that hopefully will kick off the new releases, and we'll be back a little on track.
It'll kick off summertime in September.
Yeah. Can you believe it, guys? We did not have a single new release the whole summer. It just, if you had to pick a part of the year to abandon, it wouldn't have been summer.
No, it would have been like January or August.
Yeah.
Which that might happen too,
September.
Actually.
No, the only thing that's comparable to an industry is like a baseball strike where they lose a whole season. Where there's just no revenue.
Yeah.
But you still have to keep like the offices open and you still have to keep training as baseball players to stay in shape. Like we're just behind the scenes like doing mental gymnastics here trying to keep things going along.
Yep. Trying to figure out which old repertory title will eke out a couple $100 gross. What are people going to want to see in the theater?
Well, you smoked it this week in a couple of spots.
Guys, I found out a little hidden gem called Fifth Element. It was awesome. It did great. Yeah.
Okay.
And that's actually one that I really enjoy watching, so I was happy for it. Very exciting.
You even championed for it more so.
I did. A lot of people didn't believe me.
Hey, at this point, whatever works.
But for every Fifth Element, there are like a whole bunch of blunders. Like apparently no one wants to go see Harrison Ford on Air Force One say, "Get off my plane." I don't know why. That too is a great film. No one wanted to go see that.
They're only Star Trek and Indiana Jones fans. They're not actually Harrison Ford fans.
Apparently not. So yeah, I was disappointed for my Air Force One blunder. I did get a Fifth Element win. So
at this point, whatever you can find deep in the barrel, in the Walmart $5 bin, a win's gonna be a win.
A win is a win after like so many losses.
You just hope that you'll find another Fifth Element in the coming weeks.
Yeah. So what are you doing this week?
Well, more Fifth Elements. I'm adding those. I added Labyrinths, and hopefully that'll do something. And I'm trying to eke out some Men in Blacks in there before the cutoff because they're going to do a re-release in September 11th.
Yeah. Sony has Grown Ups on August 14th.
Yeah.
Spider-Man, the two newest Spider-Mans, Homecoming and Far From Home, on the 28th, and then Men in Black on September 11th.
Yeah.
So at least there's something out there. Not that they're exciting big ticket offerings, but
well, at least there's a little bit of marketing behind them. That's the
only
reason. Yeah, they're marketing the re-releases. Teeny bit of marketing.
I was going to say, have you seen it anywhere?
There's more marketing than there is for like Indiana Jones.
You'll see it.
Have you seen anything other than to us? Have you seen this on your
remember
television watching? You've been getting mailers?
We're in a very specific bubble.
Right.
Compared to the common folk.
Yeah.
So what bad news do we want to have for the folks this week?
All right. So we got to talk about the big elephant in the room, which was the announcement of the AMC Universal theatrical window disaster. And for those of you that have not heard, apparently it was announced that AMC and Universal have come to terms on collapsing the theatrical window to merely 17 days, which is exactly 3 weekends. And then the AMC is going to allow Universal to put any underperforming film on premium VOD. So we all knew going into this year that there was a lot of pressure to collapse the theatrical window. You know, it's 90 days. A lot of people were hoping for 45. I was on the fence and thinking 30 was a good number. And probably like the number that was going to be the most realistic and where it was going to land. I thought 45 was still asking for a lot. Everybody knows that most of the film on a new release, most of the revenue is made in the first 3 weeks. So we all kind of know that. But what you were trying to do with, say, like 30 days is give a 2-week cushion so that people didn't wait the 3 weeks and just see it on VOD. There was enough window in there that it changed the behavior without fundamentally altering movie going. You still protected that movie going behavior. But what AMC did was go to the 17 days, which is what Universal wanted, and essentially just really ruined that. I mean, it's just so mind-boggling that they went to that point so early. Like, they didn't try to tear this down at all. They didn't hit 45 days or they didn't negotiate 30 days, which I think is where most Wall Street analysts thought it would land. Like, no, it just went right for whatever Universal wanted.
They must be bankrupt.
I think they're really heading for financial ruin and
taking the industry with them.
Yeah, they just...
If we're going down, you're coming with us.
They just threw the industry under the table and under the bus just to try to save themselves. And, you know, it's not the rest of Exhibition's fault that AMC over leveraged themselves and bought up to try to be number one and then got under all this debt. I mean, that's not all the rest of the movie theaters in the country shouldn't have to suffer because AMC got greedy.
And we knew this was going to happen January 1st. We knew AMC was in trouble.
Right.
Because of their announcement.
They were in trouble before COVID.
They announced that they were in debt some $200 million, and this was going to happen. It could have been 18 months, 2 years down the road, but it was going to happen. This exacerbated things, but all of the exhibitors are in this situation. Nobody's made money since the first weekend of March.
Yeah.
Like, nobody's been there. Then AMC's like, hey, guess what? We found a small income stream. Let's try this.
But I don't know. So there's just at least a lot of questions. If AMC was really after an income stream, why pick Universal? They don't have anything in the next year, really.
Because Universal's fighting hard to make this happen.
I mean, they have Candyman, which was never going to play everywhere. And then they had Croods 2, which, granted, that one looked kind of cute, and they had that at Christmas. And then they had News of the World with Tom Hanks, which was going to be like an upscale, more art picture. And that wasn't going to play everywhere.
Going to be the Post of a few years ago.
And then there were like 5 movies that I have no idea what they are. And then Fast and Furious. I mean, it was like, what film does AMC think they're going to make any revenue off PVOD on?
I mean, maybe animated features. Like, Universal does pretty well with those. I mean, Secret Life of Pets and the Despicable Me's, like
Trolls,
and the Trolls, that's where I could really see it. But even besides that, mid-budget tier movies, like maybe Candyman would be like the exception of wavering between those 2 points. But I don't know. It's hard to say on whether they should feel comfortable with taking that chance, even still.
Yeah.
I think they just signed themselves up for any deal that was going to
come their way.
Show them or show their investors and shareholders that there was going to be some revenue coming in.
Something.
It didn't matter who it was.
Who or what happened.
And the fact that it's one of the big 4 is in their minds and their print is great.
Yeah.
It shows like, hey, we did something with Universal. Right. You know, but if Lionsgate or STX or A24 came around, they were going to sign the same deal.
Maybe. But it just, and you know that it has to be a $20 premium VOD, which that really sucks because at $20, that really does compete with theaters. You could have a whole little kid's birthday party and watch Croods for $20, which would be a lot less than doing a theater rent out.
Yeah.
Not as fun, but a lot less money. And so but of that $20, how much is AMC really getting? I mean, are they getting half? I don't think that Universal wanted to give them half of their revenue when they're only getting 80% because the technology companies still get a little bit of that. So of that 80, are they getting 20% of that? Like what is the number? Is it $2 or $3?
Anything they can get.
And they're not getting any concession sales.
No.
They're not paying leases. They're not paying employees. They're not paying anything with that money.
They get nothing from that money. There's no extras. At least with a movie ticket, you got concessions from that. You got your per caps. You got that money to pay for the structure of the building.
And everybody knew in exhibiting that they weren't paying the same terms as an independent.
Yeah.
They were paying less on film rental terms.
Yeah.
So when you're paying for your independent theater where you're paying 50, 55, 60, 65%, AMC's not paying that.
Probably not.
There's no way they're paying that because I wouldn't pay that if I had
a
quarter of the locations in the U.S. I wouldn't pay that.
Yeah.
But so it's mind-boggling that they would give all this up for, and it's just a signed contract. That's something to keep the board at bay, basically, to keep their position safe for the time being.
Because in reality, for this to work for Universal, Regal and Cinemark have to sign on, and maybe they'll get their own sweetheart deals. We really don't know what the deal is. The deal could be not just this revenue share, but maybe a loan that's not disclosed to keep them afloat. Maybe it's an ownership stake. Now with the Paramount decrees, the Justice Department rethinking those, there might be an ownership stake loan.
Yeah.
Kind of like what Credit Suisse did with some huge resorts up here.
Well, now that there's the Paramount laws has been suspended, it makes sense for them to get into film exhibition on that end. So there is a way in for them, and it's a way in with the biggest theater chain in the U.S.
Right.
It makes it.
I mean, I do see there being a possibility that other studios are going to be coming after AMC because now that they know that AMC can, just give in to whatever this deal is. You said it. Then I am for sure thinking that studios will be coming over to AMC and asking for the same thing. Like, even though they're better than Universal when it comes to exhibition, they're pretty more lenient, I would say, but they're still going to see that and be like, you know what, if Universal can make that deal, why can't we?
Right. No, and I read so many trade articles about this when this broke.
Yeah.
And all the trade articles all said the exact same three franchises: Fast and Furious, The Croods, and
Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park.
And the Jurassic World. And I'm like, is that all Universal has? Is that all that we were looking for?
When it comes to big franchises, yeah.
Yeah. So really, they were looking at a slate of garbage, really, like mediocre performing garbage. And they were like, how do we wring more money out of this? That's why they want to push PVOD, because they can't make a good movie that has legs that will last and actually make everybody money.
They're hoping Candyland goes one way or the other, that it becomes possibly a big franchise, or it's the PVOD release that makes them bank.
And I'm not buying this whole argument that if you add the PVOD, you're taking the risk of theatrical and the price of it away, so that what they'll do is encourage them to produce more movies, like make more movies. Like, yeah, they'll make more movies for their streaming. Mm-hmm. Like, you think all that extra production is going to come to theaters? I don't think so.
I mean, creators are already going to streaming because they realize that they can get their stuff actually made, and they can do it because they're throwing money at them. So
I do love the terminology of the underperforming film too, because what does that mean on a scale?
Yeah, it's just varying degrees.
Jurassic Park opened to $160 million. Well, it's not 200, so it's underperforming. So it's going on PVOD.
Yeah. When can you
You make a movie for $5 million and it makes $10 million. Well, it's below our projections too, so underperforming.
Yeah.
right.
It doubled its production budget in the first week, but it's not where we need it to be.
There's so many degrees of it. You just, yeah, Ken's
So-
right. Like, you just don't know how to measure that stuff.
Right. It's so
even
vague.
with analytics.
You have no idea what is really going on with it. And it's just so incredibly unfortunate. And they broke this news when they didn't have a film coming out. You know, they're hoping that this happens, they get their deal in, and then everybody forgets about it. And that's probably what's going to happen, but I'm telling everybody that's listening, do not forget.
Well, wasn't that AMC's words at one point? We will never forget
forget.
this, Universal. Oh wait, we need money. Yeah, okay, we'll do what you say.
Yeah.
I really feel bad for the smaller guys, like, because if this does go through and it actually works to where studios can take advantage of this over like big corporate theaters, like imagine what this will do for
It's
the
not
smaller
even
guys.
smaller
Right.
guys. I mean, there are chains of 20, 30 locations that are going to be on the outside looking in.
Yeah.
Places that have millions of dollars at stake and hundreds of employees are going to be sitting there watching AMC, if there is money to be made, making money.
I love how analysts were like, "Oh, the independents, they can negotiate their own deals."
No.
No.
Who are these people?
Yeah.
Is Universal going to take time to negotiate with your small theater with the Mayberry Main Street Theater?
I know.
Yeah, right. They barely take bookings from them.
Yeah. And you think they're somehow going to negotiate a revenue stream? Even the mid-range circuits, I would be surprised if they got a revenue stream negotiated for this. So you're really only looking at AMC, Regal, and Cinemark. They're going to get deals. Everybody else, fend for yourself.
Yep.
Good luck.
Yeah, and sadly, the media doesn't realize this, and unfortunately, like smaller theaters can't voice them like they should, which is why we're here, you know, like trying to help them
Right.
out. But, you know, even our voices, you know, can't reach at a certain point. So, yeah, just
No,
keep
that-
spreading the word. We got to help these guys out because a lot of changes could be coming.
No, last year Cody represented millions of dollars of box office grossing, and she couldn't not only get a seat at the table, she couldn't get a
Right.
parking spot at the building
Right.
in this conversation.
Yeah.
Had to
There's
park
just
on
no
the
way.
road.
I mean, poor independents have really struggled. They've tried to form their own trade organization. They've tried to have talks. I mean, independents represent something like 20% of the North American box office.
Yeah.
Like, the independents are a huge force. It's just that they're all independent. They can't seem to be able to get together and, you know, be a force. And you knew that they had no say in this matter when in 2012 the studios decided to go to digital, and they were willing to write off 20% of the market if they didn't convert. And luckily everybody converted, but the studios had already played their hand. They had already dismissed that 20% as being worthless to them. They just needed the big three, or at the time the big four, and that was it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all levels of frustrating.
Yeah. So we'll see how this goes. Media implications are you're probably not going to see anything, but long term, if, like Kyle said, this was to work itself out and become the norm, you will see the disappearance of the intermediate and sub-run markets. Those are just gone. And I think that they had already been struggling because there wasn't enough product in the first runs to start kicking it out. And then of the product that was working, people were just holding it forever. It was just playing forever and ever and ever. And so those markets were already really struggling. There was no value in movies after the five-week mark. So you're going to see that gone. The dollar houses, the $5 houses, like that's gone. You're going to see a lot of little mom pa theaters, the little theaters that maybe gross $20,000 a year that serviced a town of a couple thousand people, might be literally the only show in town.
Before they were indirectly competing with these streaming services because people were looking to go out and do something in the town.
Yep.
But now they're directly competing with their cables provider, with DirecTV, with Netflix, with all these places. And it wasn't an even battle before when they weren't actually competing with them. Now that they are, It's nobody can win.
No. So, because you know that Universal's going to do this, but they're going to go to this 3-week model, or they want to go to this 3-week model, but they're not going to just like hand out prints like candy in the 3 weeks. They're not going to say, oh, well, since we only got 3 weeks, anybody and everybody can have a print. No, they're still going to stick to their print counts. They're still going to stick to their costs, and they're going to say everybody that doesn't get a print on the break, you have to compete with streaming now. And we're not guaranteeing you a print on the break. We've never guaranteed it. You do not make our cuts. We keep these numbers because this is how we get producers to come and distribute with us. We're not changing our model at all, but
we're changing our model entirely.
But we're changing our model now.
Yeah, that's going to be the important thing. If you're a film buyer or a theater who books your own films, it's going to be more of an uphill battle than it ever was before.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think most theaters could stomach a shortened theatrical window, say 30 days. Even they could maybe stomach 21 days if they were guaranteed a print within the first 21 days. When they had exclusive theatrical rights to that print, if they could get the exclusive, I think more people would be on board. But the fact that the studios say, no, we're only going to allow X amount of prints in the market, and we're only taking the top markets, and we're going to double up in some of those markets, so even less markets going to get it. That's what's just so unpalatable. That's just so disgusting in my book. That just really screws over everybody. You know, you're telling these theaters the value of our film is only in the first 3 weeks, but we're not going to let you have it. You can play the scraps afterwards when we want to put it on streaming, when we get our then 100% streaming value out of it. Well, there's still a little bit to eke out.
Our product has a best by date.
Yeah.
But you're only allowed to purchase it after it's spoiled.
Yeah.
It's kind of a slap in the face for creators. Like,
for
if a creator goes to a studio and pitches a movie, they'll be like, oh, that sounds great. I mean, it'll be that 3-week PVOD release because we don't believe in it that much, but it'll still be fine. Like, you'll still get your movie out. What's the difference in seeing it in those two ways when there is absolutely a big difference? That's why a few weeks ago we were seeing so many creators coming out.
And nobody's thinking of movie theaters being the 15 plexes. Everybody thinks of middle America, small theaters, maybe your twin, maybe, up to a 4 or 5. I mean, those are the hometown theaters that really get people into that movie going behavior. It's not the 15 and 20 screen megaplexes.
I mean, that's why people more and more kind of complain about why show, stuff in theaters when it can be on streaming, because they think of those big megaplexes that are gross to them, or they're charged too much, or they just don't feel, like a comforting situation like it would be at your own home.
They don't get the experience of those that they're looking for. And people are looking for authentic experiences, and this should be a renaissance for these smaller boutique theaters, hometown, mom, pa's. This should be a renaissance for them.
Yeah. I mean, drive-ins are feeling that renaissance because people are feeling that experience, and it's a way for them to view media outside their home, but they still are comfortable and have that type of feeling that you were describing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so there's something essential about movie going. There's something that people still really want. I think we saw, even in the time of COVID, even when all the theaters were shut, people were still going out to get the popcorn just to have some semblance of that experience at home. And so there is something there that is powerful and marketable and that we need to preserve. But man, it is just turning into such an uphill battle, such a struggle.
Well, that's why we're promoting hashtag Save Your Cinema on SilverScreenInsider.com.
Oh, yeah. And we'll be posting that all over social media for a long time. It's a campaign being started by NATO to help save these theaters that we're talking about, especially now more than ever, seeing as though how this deal between AMC and Universal has panned out. We'll have links in this podcast episode as well as on social media and Silver Screen Insider, as we said before. But please go support your local theaters. Please spread the word, because right now we need people to know about these small theaters. We need the government to know that they need help.
It's letters to your congressman. It's letters to your representatives. It's letters asking for some financial relief, a bailout for cinemas across the nation, because they are so impacted by COVID. It's
Big
crazy.
time.
I mean, whatever your politics are, it seems that theaters are being slightly treated unfairly. If you can have churches open, you can have restaurants, you can have bars, you can have these other experiences open, granted under limited capacity, but they're not allowing theaters. There's some real bias and issues there, and we just got to work and try to save the theaters.
I mean, that bias goes to what I was saying about people viewing theaters as only like the big cineplexes. They view them as a gross place where you don't get the best treatment, you don't get the best experience, when really you do. Like, even in mom and pop shops you do. So let's try and like reverse that thought. Like, they're all gross, they're all where you're gonna get COVID, because that's, I mean, you have to protect yourself obviously, but that's not the case. Like, there are many theaters out there that deserve better treatment and better and to be thought of better than what they are at now, because they are at a very big disadvantage.
And I don't think they're as risky as what is being put out there. Like, you can wear masks in them and still enjoy your experience. You all face forward, so you're not like breathing on each other. They do have social distancing requirements. Every other row is usually not available, and then they can space you 6 feet in a theater. Especially if the theater's got recliners, it's super easy. You can be spread out. No one goes in the theater and goes up to somebody sitting there and it's like, I'm going to sit right next to this guy.
And the few that do are weird. Move away from them.
Right? Yeah, you don't want to be near them anyways. But if there's people just naturally sit apart in the theater. Yeah. It's something about kind of being in your own little bubble, and that's already part of that movie-going experience. And even if the theater was sold out, every theater that is open has social distancing requirements. No one is going to sit right next to you, which you cannot say for sure you would get that same treatment at a restaurant or a church or any of those other public gathering places that are allowed to be open right now.
You would hope so, but yeah.
Right.
All right, we ready for the fun stuff?
Okay. I think we got it out of the way. We'll talk a lot more about AMC and Universal
as it evolves. I'm sure more stuff will come out.
Yeah,
definitely.
I don't want to overreact, because who knows?
As we overreacted by cheering AMC 4 months ago,
right?
for telling Universal to shove it,
and then they bent over and shoved it the other way.
Right.
There's a lot of shoving going on.
You guys.
Way to go, Kyle! And take us into the gutter. That's Cody's job. That's why she's here.
I was just thinking. I was saying what we were all thinking. Let's be real.
Yeah, they took it way up there. All right.
So I saw my movie.
I saw my movie too.
Great job.
100% this week.
I was supposed to watch Blade Runner,
and I watched Killers with Ashton Kutcher.
Yeah.
Was that what it was called?
The Killers.
The Killers.
I don't know.
Killed.
Yeah.
Something like
that. So we're on this like couples espionage, like fun comedy. What'd you think?
Enjoyed it a lot more than I thought. It's definitely not Mr. and Mrs. Smith level of good, but
of writing or production or starring
of everything. Ashton Kutcher was trying though. Like, he was.
The only part that was better was Tom Selleck's mustache.
Oh, for sure. I'm so they addressed
the dad.
Oh no, it's amazing. And they address it many times of how perfect and amazing it is, and I was there for that. I was I'm so glad
they went with it.
You got him for a reason. You have to address it. And I had a blast with those few parts. Yeah, but no, it's actually it's a fun time. It's not Mr. and Mrs. Smith level, but like you were saying, it's the B level.
It's like a B version.
Yeah, exactly.
It's still enjoyable.
I would call it that. Yeah, it's just a romantic comedy with, some spy elements in it, and yeah, it was enjoyable for what it was.
He kills a gal with a deer antler chandelier.
That was pretty creative. I give props for that.
Just gets her.
Yeah, there was like another kill that I thought was actually pretty creative, but I couldn't remember what it was now. But no, the deer one is really good.
Yeah.
And so Blade Runner.
Oh, Blade Runner. Well, I was really distracted because it's supposed to be futuristic. It was set in the year of 2019. And so that was weird.
Looked more like 2020 to me, actually.
They were just a year ahead.
Excuse me. I wish. So I was really spent most of my time. It was kind of hard to get into the movie. The special effects were actually really good.
Oh, yeah.
That part wasn't taking me out. It was just the few, like, movies from the past that depict the future, it's interesting how they depicted the future. Like they all thought we would have flying cars by now. But then when they show computerized things, like their machines and stuff, they have a lot of mechanical components still. And so it's really funny that when we get to the future, we have such sophisticated computers and we don't have flying cars yet.
No, I mean, one could only dream. We're getting close, I think. It'll happen one day, but they were off by a few years.
Yeah. So it was, and then the sheer amount of population, like they're supposed to be in LA, but you don't see any hills. Like it's just.
The future's changed.
Yeah.
All the hills are gone.
All the hills are gone. It was okay. It was very slow. I mean, it was
it's a slow burn.
I had to be honest with you, fast forward till I saw where they were actually talking, because it was like
the pacing on this whole list, the AFI list, is they are slow movies.
They love their slow burners.
There's no.
Oh my gosh.
But I don't know. I really like Blade Runner for it being a slow burn. I think I just like and appreciate that it takes time to set in moods and atmospheres and lets people like see how characters are reacting more so than just fast paced, like telling us what's going on.
I don't want a fast pace, but you could pick up this pace a little bit. There was
just tweak it.
Just wait until you have to watch 2001: A Space Odyssey. It's an hour longer with half the story.
God.
It is slow.
For sure.
So, Harrison Ford's character, Decker, I thought he was supposed to be just this brilliant Blade Runner, this guy that tracks down these replicants, but he just seemed like a normal guy. Like, I don't know why.
I think that's the point.
But I don't know what was so special about him that they had to pull him back in. One more case, Decker. I need your help on this.
He's the best at what he does, even if he makes mistakes.
Was not very impressive. And
I mean, Indiana Jones is the same way. He's just a guy.
No, he wasn't. He was fighting people and kicking butt, and he knew all the artifacts.
But he made a lot of mistakes along the way. He wasn't perfect.
Yeah, but Decker's character, there was like nothing going on up there.
He's very to himself.
It's so boring, and I don't know how they fell in love. Like what she saw in him, what he saw in her. They were both wet blanket characters. That was just like. I don't get it. She saved him. That's all. I could maybe see her infatuation with him, and then she saved him, and then I guess that bonded. And but through the whole movie, I was like, this. I don't know why they're even together. What? There's nothing here. I thought the snake lady was way more interesting. The one.
Yeah, she's cool.
That he kills. But yeah, it was okay. I mean. It gets a lot of praise. I'm sure it was very like crazy and groundbreaking, and for its time, I just was taken out of it because
it wasn't beloved at the time. Like it took a while for people to realize how good it is, but for a while, like even though I'm sure they appreciate like special effects and whatnot, but it wasn't very groundbreaking because people weren't into it at the time.
Was it
maybe they saw what you saw?
Was it one of those VCR releases like Terminator where it picked up steam?
Oh, I'm sure.
In the rental market?
Did. Yeah. Definitely picked up
which
steam.
probably led to
like
a director's cut being possible.
And a final cut.
There's two.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm like, which one do I watch? I picked the one that was the shortest.
I mean, truth be told, it's been a long time since I've seen the first Blade Runner. I don't remember if it's the director's.
I'm like, there's nothing in the director's cut that's going to change the fundamental parts
I actually don't think
movie.
I don't think there is much that changes. I don't think there's a few extra minutes.
Also didn't like the narration. I mean,
that might be a director's.
It added a little bit
director's
to
choice
it.
Or studio choice?
She watched the original.
Yeah.
The theatrical version.
So that was definitely a studio choice to have the commentary, or not commentary,
the narration.
The narration.
Yeah.
He narrates, but then his mouth moves for parts of it.
Yeah.
Like he walks in and out of it.
Oh, really?
Kind of, sorta. Like whether he's talking to somebody. He'd be narrating.
No, he narrates,
but
separately.
then it immediately goes into him talking to someone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so like it's almost distracting because like the narration moves into his speech.
Right. It's not edited to where there's a space, right?
Where there's a break or someone else talks first.
Yeah. Okay, I get that.
I did like some of the narration because it clarified a few scenes, but I think I would have gotten that in context. I didn't.
Yeah,
super
exactly.
need it, but it it wasn't the worst of the movies I've seen. So
All right, I'll take that.
Ready for a reprieve for your next film? We talked about it last time.
what?
The Marx Brothers Duck Soup.
Oh yeah.
It's
Okay.
It's a whirlwind comedic film. Comes in at a whopping 68 minutes.
Oh yes, I love
right
this.
up her alley.
We'll probably watch it tonight.
And what does Kyle have on his plate for this week?
I
Another
don't know. Do you want another fun
Romantic action comedy?
film?
I thought we said last week that
We were
we
gonna
should
do
do the Tom
Night and
Cruise
Day,
one,
yeah.
Night and Day, because that's like I just watched like the B+ version,
Yeah.
so this might be like
The C-
A-. Or,
C+.
Oh, this is C+. Oh no.
This is
think
worse than.
This
This is the best.
okay. You probably will like the Tom Cruise more than the
Ashton
Ashton
Kutcher.
Kutcher, but I
Okay.
enjoyed the Ashton Kutcher one a little bit
I'd
more.
say this is the best of the
Okay.
3 action movies over Mr. and Mrs. Smith. This is a better action movie.
Now I'm intrigued.
Ooh, I might see that. It's Tom Cruise, so you know the action's really
Yeah,
Way
good.
true.
over the top.
True,
Yeah.
but Doug Liman, who works with Tom Cruise, did Mr. and Mrs. Smith, so it could be a competition.
It is.
Ooh,
yeah.
now
I think
stay tuned.
This will be good.
Tune in next week to
All
see
right.
what Kyle's response
I'll
is.
have my rankings next week.
Did your girlfriend watch it with you?
She did. She actually
Yeah.
told me that she saw it, I think in the theater maybe when it first came out.
Yeah. Did
So-
she enjoy it?
I think she still enjoyed it. Yeah.
So fun.
Yeah. I think she was a little disappointed that I didn't like it all that much, but at least was
Kind of
happy
like
that,
I'm a little disappointed.
yeah. I mean, I didn't hate it by any means. I
Yeah.
enjoyed it for what it was, but I guess even at that, she was hoping I liked it a bit more, but
So you can watch it again.
whoops.
So you can watch it again.
I don't think that's, no.
Yeah.
And Cody and
wanna
I got
watch
a
it
couple
now.
of screeners that we'll look into this next week to see if we can
Ooh.
get you some.
Yeah, I think we
Previewed.
got some IFC screeners.
Yep.
And did you get anything else?
I'm trying to remember what the movie was. It's Back in Town or something that we were looking at the other day.
Okay. Well, yeah,
So-
we'll get you.
We got a
Some
couple
more.
of reviews we'll give you on some upcoming films that
Yep.
we were kind of excited
So
about.
I'm doing Duck Soup. He's doing Night and Day. Kyle gets the best movies.
You pick his movies.
No, I really.
The American Film Institute picked your movies.
Meanwhile, I'm like, man, I want to watch Blade Runner again. All right. So everyone, thank you for listening to the Off the Break podcast. You can check us out on all podcast platforms as well as at Silver Screen Insider, where if you're running a theater, like we have many materials and much upcoming films for you guys to check out and see you can work with.
Check out Fifth Element.
Check out Fifth Element too. Cody highly
It's
recommends.
PG-13.
It could, yeah, so that works.
Got Bruce Willis. It's awesome.
Please
Yeah.
support us at silverscreeninsider.com and hashtag Save Your Cinema.
Yep.
Perfect.
Contact those congressmen. Get them to send the cinemas money. I mean, if they're just going to be doling it out left and right, at least the theaters could have some.
Exactly.
You would think they could agree on theaters being something that
Doesn't everyone
They can all
love
sign off
movies?
on.
Yeah.
No.
No.
All right, fair enough, guys.
Thanks for listening,
All
everybody.
right,
Thanks.
see ya.